Inside this box is the Resideo Honeywell Home Valencia VTL 120 thermostatic radiator valve and lock shield valve. Now the thermostatic radiator valve what's in this box is actually an automatic balancing valve. So in this video what we're going to do is first of all find out what's in this box, and then we're going to go over to my house and we're going to install these valves on one side of my house. So I've split my house into two sides, so one side will be completely balanced and the other side will not be balanced, and we're going to see what this actually does to the central heating system. So let's get on with it and get this unboxed and see what is actually in this box. Well, let's get this box open. So there's one of them stupid little tabs on the side here. So that's what comes in the box. So first of all, we've got the thermostatic head, then we've got the body, and I'll show you this in a bit because this is incredibly important, this little bit here. Then we've got the lock shield valve, and then we've got a bag of bits, which is the nuts and olives basically, and then finally there's an instruction piece of paper. So that's basically what you get in this box. Now this thermostatic radiator head is A-rated for efficiency and is filled with a liquid. So it is a thermal expansion valve, and the liquid what's inside here is glycol and water. The cheaper versions of thermostatic radiator valves have wax in them, so stay away from them. So what this is doing is constantly monitoring what you've set the room temperature to. So there's some numbers on the side here and a little indicator, and whatever the temperature you want the room set to, you can twist the head and this will then try and keep the temperature of the room to whatever you set it to. So the maximum temperature you can set this to is 26 degrees centigrade, but your optimum room temperature now should be around about 19 degrees. There's also this little green button which they say is their energy saving button, which stops it going over 4 by the looks of it. It won't go over 4 until you press the button in, and then it will then go to 6. You don't really want it going to 6, but anyway. And there is also, if you see here, there's a little snowflake because it has an automatic frost setting in there. So you could turn it to frost setting and it will stop the room going lower than 4 degrees. Now the reason why we don't want a room going lower than 4 degrees is because your water starts to freeze when it starts going lower than 4 degrees. By the time it's reached 0, it's already frozen. So that's the thermostatic head, and basically what the head does is it pushes this plunger inside here, which activates on this plunger here, which is opening or closing this valve to allow water in or closing the water off. So that's the thermostatic head. Now this valve body, I don't know if you can see this little arrow here, shows that it can go in 2 directions. So this is what we call a bidirectional valve. So if this was my radiator here, you could install it that way, like that, or you can install it that way, depending on which way your flow or your return is. Now the other important thing here is there's a load of numbers around there, and that's how you set your radiator valve up for balancing the radiator. I'm going to go right the way through that process when we get back to my house. But Resideo did send me one of these little keys, and technically you don't need the key, but the key fits on there and can adjust the valve for you. Now this little bit here is for going into your lock shield valve. to either completely close it, which that's completely closed, or you can open it. And if you don't have one of these keys, then you just need an Allen key to go into there. It's also got a radiator bleed key, and then it's got this other little device here for setting up these valves, and we'll look at these valves in another video. So, I don't know how you'd get hold of one of these. I guess if you went onto the website, you might be able to get one off them, or if you know your Resideo rep, he might be able to, or she might be able to get you sorted out with one. But technically, you don't really need that, and I'll show you when we get to the house, setting them up with this and setting them up with other tools. So, that is this Resideo Honeywell Home Valencia auto balancing thermostatic radiator valve and lock shield valve. So let's get over to my house and let's get my central heating system drained, and let's get on with installing these valves. The first thing I've gone and done is I've turned the heating on, and I've marked on the side of the radiator here with a pencil cross which is the flow. So you can see there's a lock shield valve there, and if we go to this side, it's the thermostatic rad valve. So there's about 5 radiators on this system where they are the wrong way around. So don't assume which way is the flow. Always check it by just turning on your heating and marking the rad. Now the heating system is drained, the first thing I need to do is remove these old valves. Now the valve body is off. I need to now take these tails out using this ratchet tool. Once the tail is out, I need to remove the olive and nut from the old valve body. Let's try and see if I can get the olives off the old-fashioned way. So what I'm going to do here is just gently squeeze the olive with my water pump pliers and gently pull upwards. It's coming. If you try doing this at home, always make sure you keep your face well away from it, because you don't want your face full of water pump pliers. I didn't even have to use my fancy olive splitter. So that's that side off. Let's get the other side off. So just remember, when you are taking these valves off, always make sure you protect things like carpets, because there will be some water left in there. And if it's a dirty system, it will be black sludgy water, and the best thing to do is always have a wet vac handy. So again, it's time to remove that olive, or not. This one don't want to come off, so I'll have to use my fancy tool. Now this is an olive cutter, so basically this is just going to split the olive in half when I turn this handle. There you go. And it's off. It's as simple as that. Now it's time to put the radiator valve tail in. Now I've used PTFE here on the male thread, but you can actually use loads of different jointing compounds on this radiator valve tail. Now this side of the rad is the flow pipe, so this is where I'm putting the thermostatic rad valve. Now it's just a matter of tightening the two nuts up and squashing the olives to make it waterproof. And now it's just exactly the same process on the lock shield valve. Now that's the last rad valve installed, so what I've got to do now is fill the central heating system up, not to forget to put more inhibitor in, and then we can set these thermostatic valves up. Now, first thing we need to do is actually measure the radiators, because that's how we're going to find out how we're going to set these valves up. So this radiator is 500 millimeters wide and 600 millimeters high, and it is a double convector. Now with these little tools you get from Resideo, there's a card that comes with it, and it's got a QR code. So there's a QR code for your Google Play, or there's a QR code for your App Store, because you're going to have to download an app, which I've already done. So need to open the app. Now when we've opened the app, the first thing we see is we need to pick the valve we're using, which is the Valencia VT15, so we need to click on that. Now it says what type of radiator have we got. Have we got a single panel radiator? Have we got a steel multi-column radiator? Have we got a tower rad? Have we got an aluminium radiator? Or is it a known heat load, so you can actually put your BTUs or your kilowatts in there. Now this is a steel radiator, but it's multi-column, so we need to click onto that one. Now first thing it says, we need to enter our data, so our flow temperature. Now our flow temperature on our boiler here, so we go to 55 degrees and we click done. Our outlet temperature is going to be 45 degrees because we want a 10-degree difference across the radiator, so we click done and we've got our 10 degrees. So next one is how many columns have we got. Well, it already says 2, but you can go up to 4, so 2, we need to do that. Now it says do the height, so our height was 600 and it goes done, and our width was 500 and we go done. And now you can see it says our presetting here is number 1. Now on these valves, number 1 is the valve being closed virtually, and number 6 is virtually open. Let me show you that. So here's a valve which I haven't fitted yet, and this is set to number 6. So if I blow through it, you can see that's pretty much virtually open, and I only have to turn it to number 1, which is 1 click the other way. So we're now on number 1 and I try blowing through it. So hopefully you can tell the difference there. So number 1 is virtually closed and number 6 is fully open. So we need to set this one here to number 1. So now that radiator's set to number 1, we can literally put our head back on now. Set our radiator to number 4 because we want it at 20 degrees, and that's done. Let's go and have a look at another rad. Now this is the dining room radiator, and as you can see this is a lot bigger than the one in the dressing room. But this one is 600 high and 1400 mil in length, and again, yeah, it's a double convector. So let's get the app open again. So again, it's the Honeywell Home Valencia VT15 we click onto. Again, it's a steel multi-column radiator we click onto. Again, we've got the 55 degrees flow, we've got the 45 degrees return, we've got two columns. Now again, we need to select the height of 600 and we need to do a width of 1400. Now this time it's telling us that we need to set our thermostatic radiator valve onto number 4. So let's do that. So again, we've adjusted that. We can now put the thermostatic radiator valve set to 4 back on to the body. And that one's done. So let's have a look at the difference between doubles and single rads. Now this is the only single radiator bar, the towel rad, that we've got with these valves on. So again, this one is 600 high by 700 long. So again, we need the app. And again, it's the same valve, the Valencia, so we need to click on that. This time, it's a steel, just a single panel radiator, single convector. So we click on that. Now again, flow temperature of 55, return temperature 40, but you can see now it says radiator type, so we need to click onto that because it's a single panel with a single convector, so that makes it 11. So 20 would be a double panel, no convectors, 21 double panel, single, so but we're on a number 11. So click on that. Again, height, this time we are 600, done. Width, we are 700, done. It's now telling us we need to do a preset for this radiator of number 2. So we need to set this to number 2. And again, now we've set that to number 2, we can again put our head on, the TRV valve body, screw it down. Now this is a hallway, so it doesn't have to be 20 degrees, it can be 18 degrees this, but we're for doing the experiment, we're just going to keep all these rad valves to 20 degrees. So that's that done. Let's have a look at the difference now with a towel rad. Now finally, let's work out for this towel rad. First thing, let's measure it. So it's 1 meter by 600. So again, let's get this app open. So again, we need the Honeywell Valencia, but this time we go to towel rad. This time we need to change the flow temperature back to 55 with a return temperature of 45. This time we need to select the height. Now, because this towel rad is horizontal and not vertical, I need to put the meter in first, which is done, and then the width goes 600. And what this is saying is to set this valve up to number 1. So let's get this set to number 1, then all these radiators are set up and the experiment can begin. So that is the introduction, the installation and the setting up of these Resideo Honeywell Home Valencia automatic balancing thermostatic radiator valves and lock shield valves. You were expecting to see the experiment now, weren't you? But you'll have to wait till the next video. But I hope you've liked this video and I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Cheers.